There's no more secrets, just ignorance.
Welcome to the jungle, Al.
Welcome
Al
to the
has
401
been
show.
on before,
Yes.
and he and I share a lot of the same perspectives on a lot of the things we talk about on this show.
Nice.
Very good.
It's one of those, when you start to see it, it's hard. I mean, Al, is it hard to go back to your normal life when you?
Life is completely different.
Yeah. I don't. Al just said life is completely different, and this is.
If Al's going to talk, he needs to get to the microphone.
Right. I'll do my best not to put him on the spot.
There you
here,
go.
But,
Pull
but
it
if you're
towards
gonna roll
you.
into our show,
Pull
you're
the
gonna.
mic towards you.
Nothing like being on radio and having a guy 14 feet from the mic.
There you go.
Well, we're a rookie
You gotta just
show.
pull
We
it
got.
towards
We
his
do have some
mouth,
pros.
Sheltis.
Don't get me wrong.
Sounds kinky.
We might not be, but we're not in the pros yet either. We got.
Yes,
We are
We
pros.
got a couple of
We're heading
monkey
up there.
in the irons to iron out.
Hey, big shout out to Glenn for being almost all of the comments.
GRD.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
He rocked it. If we
Yeah,
could find
there you go.
New
100
Facebook friend?
fans, I think that like Glenn,
Yep.
someone would be busy
Yes,
on the
pass
comment
the
section of
word.
the show.
Pass the word. If anybody's into this kind of stuff, we would love your comments. We'd love your feedback.
Yeah. It's
Talk
all
to
live
us.
now,
Speak
streaming.
to us.
Yep. Hit us up.
Okay. So today, what are we covering today?
What are we covering, Hoops?
So we are going to be looking at. This will be the last show that we really have the title of predictive programming in.
Okay.
No, we're
Uh,
gonna like 40 more.
Well, we're gonna, now
Keep
that
going.
we're getting better at showing images, and I don't think we've reached the promised land yet, but there is something about being able to share these things, not just through what you hear, but through what you see. And look, it's almost like the difference. We've all had a friend, for instance, who witnessed a car accident. And they came back and they were shocked, and they tried to relay the story to us, right?
Sure.
We know the scenario. Now, think about how much more powerful that story is if, instead of you being told about the accident, you witness it.
A man has stolen a lawnmower from a local hardware store, loaded it in the back of his pickup, and is racing away from authorities. The danger of an accident increases as the pickup travels deeper into a populated residential area. And then, out of nowhere,
And you see the body flying out of the rolling car. And I mean, the shock of seeing it with your own eyes,
It's way more impactful.
the odds of you buckling up next time, I think, are higher if, the more senses that we can include in how we display some of this stuff.
By witnessing something, it'll make you more cautious.
So, and look, I'm sitting here trying to open up a web page, which is not happening.
Open up your heart.
Actually, everything I have to say is in my heart. 'Cause something you said last week was you were raised on like the fear, the book of Revelation and all
Yes.
these terrible things that are
Yes.
going to be happening. And that is a part of the equation, but it's not, God does not thrive off of fear. But he does talk about the fact that we are supposed to work out salvation with fear and trembling, and there's a reason he said, which I totally get. But there's a lot of benefits, too. And this is what's in my heart. I'm sitting here trying to get to my notes. And, dude, and Charles, if you want to try and figure out something with my Explorer, it'd be wonderful, but whatever. There are a few benefits to
Fearing.
getting hooked up in a way with whatever it is that's above us. I have a very specific idea for me, but we all have our own images of what it is that is up there. And if you,
We need Ray to come on and tell us.
which Ray?
Razor Ray, I told you.
Oh,
Yeah.
Razor Ray.
He met God.
Yeah, we did. He died.
Razor Ray did?
Yeah.
He was dead for.
Near
I
death.
told you this.
Oh, shoot.
Ooh! Woo!
$1 in. I got singles today,
5 minutes
people.
in.
We're sorry, people of God.
Understood. Okay.
Died on the table. He was legally dead for like 20 minutes or some shit.
Yeah, we'll have him on soon, like to tell his. Oh, really? Oh, yo,
Very
yeah,
cool.
yep. Yeah, we rocked it out with him, and then this all happened.
Did he meet Jesus? Or what kind of near-death experience did he have?
He met God, but I don't
What?
want to tell any of his experience
Who's
because I
Danny
want
Cakes?
him to tell it.
Okay,
he's
understood.
Yeah, they were doing it and doing it and doing it well.
Hey, this is a Christian show.
Yeah, welcome to the Christian Broadcasting Network.
As Christian as I get, guys.
doing it well.
We're going to check in on you in a while. So a few themes I want to remind everyone of that's listening. One is, in a way, there's a little bit of a court case going on here, where Eric and Kelly Jean and Sid and maybe Jimmy and a few other people are somewhat of the jury in this case that we're making.
Don't categorize me.
I'm talking about the show.
Yeah,
So
I'm just
another
joking.
present it.
Another way to look at it is this also we're talking about this is college level stuff here. Like these are the things I think colleges should get more into, but you will
It-
never
it just-
find it on the curriculum. And if someone does
Exactly.
try to put it on the curriculum, they will not have a job there much longer.
I mean, and plus it's a lot of opinion,
Well,
which
it
would
also
totally
depends-
clash. It would be a cool class though. I mean,
Depends on the school you go to, I bet, also. Because
Right.
if it's a privately funded school that can teach whatever the frick they want, then, I know my
sure they're
kids,
fine.
My kids, they went to Ferdale upper and lower elementary back in the day, but what they used to do was they had one class in each grade that was an open curriculum, so it was different than the rest of the people were getting taught. So they were getting taught how to farm and how to do other things that other kids weren't.
that's cool.
But I think in something like that, maybe you could introduce something like a class like this, because this is nothing more than
I mean, there's debate
theo-
class or
theology
whatever.
on crack.
I mean, they could do debate class about this type of thing instead of like politics and stuff. I mean, it could be just a twist on the already happening.
Yeah, I mean,
kind of
you
cool.
come up with some type of curriculum, but it
Just
who would
conspiracy
notice it?
debates.
Yeah.
Throw them at each other.
And I'm sure
on
there
a panel.
probably is an elective class that has something to do with wars or things that have happened in the past.
Yeah.
The history. This would be the corrupt history.
Right.
Like I'm saying, it's basically
Like drunk
they,
history, but not
They
drunk.
teach
Yeah.
theology in schools. So
Corrupt
this is
History
just a
101. Would be
Yes.
the class
theology
ever.
on
I would
crack.
take that if that was a college course.
How cool was that? All right, you guys see the little image on screen?
Yep.
Yeah.
All right, so this is something I threw together last night. Meegs, can you
Yeah.
translate this for us just by looking at it?
I am about 5 seconds behind y'all watching from Facebook. So I cannot see it yet, but I'm going to be
Or
hanging
still a bit
on.
of lag.
Anyone
Yeah.
else?
It's
care
the
to-
first. It's
anyone
the
else
first
care to-
You
emojis.
got you're down
See
at the
what
bottom.
it's. I
You
can't
got
tell
the
you what it
chevrons,
says.
which are
It's the first
military.
emojis, you guys.
You have
Symbols.
the
Well,
eye
it's
of
symbols
Ra.
for sure.
Ah, I see him now.
You have
Okay.
the Star of David. You have the anarchy, or the pentagram. I don't see the Star of David actually.
Yeah, there's an inverted
The Russian
pentagram.
sickle.
Don't
Or a
worry
pentagram.
about the individual religions. Meegs,
Thunderbird.
do you know what
Yin
this
yang.
message is saying?
Oh gosh, it's telling a story.
Okay, so down at the
In layman's
bottom,
terms.
we've got humanity. Okay, that's the people of the world. Now,
Look, there I am.
part of the case that we're making is that there is a God. Now, we are showing you both sides of it. Frankly, we've been a little more focused on some of the things that I think for me are easier to see. They're things that I think will ultimately bring you to the Bible. Like we're starting to see organized evil, and we're starting to connect these all-seeing eyes with Lucifer and pyramids and the ruling elite and the Federal Reserve and our currency, yada, 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 yada.
Okay.
Because that is how it happened for Meegs, and that's how it happened for me, is we literally found organized evil, biblical evil, and that is really the moment where it hit. So something I've been thinking about is humanity has been trying to reconcile theirself with God from the beginning of time. And it's almost always done through priests or through a religion.
Through conduit.
And that's what most people do. So the masses with the thick chevron type arrows, good note there, Eric, it's because the masses are trying to go through religions to reconcile to God. But almost every religion, probably, I mean, in time, every religion does ultimately get co-opted by organized evil, and one degree at a time they start getting turned away from what the original message was.
Right.
So flash forward a few hundred years later, and some of them are just, they're nowhere near God.
Right.
But they don't know it. They're under this false sense of security because maybe they go to church every Sunday, or they go to temple every Saturday, or they're, at one with
They're bred
themselves and they're
to-
Zen, whatever it is.
They're bred growing up
Compartmentalized.
to believe what they.
And they are just
you know.
carrying on the baton that
Yeah.
was given to them by their own families.
Yes.
Yep.
So you'll also notice that the arrow going from religions up to God in heaven is very thin. Because I think, frankly, if you were going to try to reach God in heaven by going through man-made religions that we're going to be able to show were co-opted by evil forces a long time ago. And you can't be thinking evil as in red hoods and pitchforks. If
Satan.
my definition of evil in this case is,
Power.
if it is something that is keeping you away from reaching God or heaven, that is evil, whether you know you're doing it or not. Because there's something about this life that is the hopeful message in everything we talk about, because we're not here just to talk about how there are 360 guns pointed at humanity's head. Like, humanity is not going to, whatever's coming or whenever, we all can feel it in the air. There's something. And it is... It is...
Phil Collins.
Meek's got it.
Yeah.
Okay, so most people are trying to reconcile by going through a religion, and very few people find God. And here's the unbelievable thing is, and I sometimes think of like a meme where there's two computers talking to each other, and they're wondering where they came from and who created them. And one computer is saying, hey man, this tech guy, this greasy tech guy, i.e. Satan, keeps coming and saying, and dude, we morphed from that stapler over there. And the other guy's going, I don't know, there's a manual here that says, computer manual, and it says we were actually built to work this way and we did not evolve into these
I'm with you.
computers. Okay. Because the manual that was left for us, and I did not get this. I did not get it. I was 42. Late in life, when your eyes start to, this can happen anytime. You were not born with this information. And it's possible that you may figure this out even while you're, say, a president. Who knows? But basically, God's plan is, even echoed by the words of Jesus Christ himself, he's like, basically, Jesus was the most anti-religious person in the world. Frankly, God and Jesus do hate things. I was shocked to hear this. I don't remember if organized religion was one of the things they hate, but they hate hypocrisy. And that is what organized religion is. Jesus went out of his way to call out these Pharisees, the religious leaders, right in the temple floor. That's like their home territory. He's going into their home territory and calling. It'd be like someone going up to the Pope and going, you are a child molesting son of... You're going to divide the people.
Yeah.
Understand. And he wasn't afraid to speak the truth. So he said, he goes, after I'm here, don't call anyone father. There's going to be no more priests. There's no more... The relationship between you and God and heaven is direct through me. Read these scriptures right here, and things will happen in your life that are un-effing believable. Those weren't his words. That's my paraphrase. So, most people don't actually look at this book. I spent 42 years of my life with this thing under my nose. And like Eric, I mean, I don't know about your background with the book, but I know I used to tell people I'd read it, because I really believed I had, but I'd really probably only opened up a couple chapters and really never, there's a difference between reading it and studying it.
Readying it.
That's the,
I never read it, but so in all actuality, I read the whole thing in different parts and different times, but I concentrated more on the passages that these guys were, when these guys were talking, I'm interviewing these dudes that were knowledgeable in the Nephilim, and that they wrote books and books about it. So I was like, well, where the frick are they at in there? I got to read the whole goddamn book to figure it out.
The God,
It's right in the beginning.
the God. You mean the God inspired?
So anyway,
Gosh darned.
So anyway, I would concentrate more on those passages, and
Those are the fascinating ones, and we're going to be
Yeah.
getting into those over the
and-
course
and,
of a few shows. Here.
Tony, one day we were off air, and we might even have talked about it on the show, but Von Doniget's book, Chariots of the Gods.
Dietrich.
Yeah,
Von
so
Daniken.
I've read parts of that book also,
think it's
but
Dietrich.
they talk about that in the Bible. The chariots of fire going across the sky and all this stuff, and so those were the passages I concentrated most on. But I read the whole book, which was awesome.
Yeah, his Ancient Aliens book was definitely promoted pretty heavily across all media.
I love Ancient Aliens.
push-
That's where I
well-
get my knowledge from. Sitting on my butt
Well,
watching
hang
it
on.
on
Just
TV.
understand that. So you are now beyond the
You know who
point where there's
produces that, right,
something.
though? Satan.
Well, at the end of the day,
it's-
we're going to
it's-
actually
it's
make
giving you something to believe
I'm
in,
gonna
though,
show
isn't
you guys
it?
how it works.
Well, we talked about this before. Who controls the media?
Mm-hmm.
That 0.00001%
Dana
of the
Carvey.
population controls.
Dana Carvey
you know,
controls the media.
The media. So what is Ancient Aliens? It's just a media outlet. So
Sure.
they can control what they tell you and what they show you. It's like
Well, I'm interested in a lot of the stuff that's on there too,
Yeah,
but
I'm not saying
it
it's
just no. My point is how that's on 24/7.
Oh, yeah.
It's always on. It's like, okay, why is that? Well, because most people would rather fantasize and well, I'm not even saying it's fantasy. There very well could be. And in fact, I think they say they're, life on other planets. It's almost, it has to be. You know what I mean? Somewhere else. But I know.
It's not just 9 planets on the Earth or in the universe, and
No, I
only on one
believe
of them,
I believe he created another area.
I know you want to say something right now, Meigs. Out with that.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I'll have to school you guys. We'll have to do a flat earth episode debate one of
Oh
these.
yeah, no, I'm not talking
I'm not
flat
taking a
Earth.
position on flat Earth, but I will drop a little clue here I think that's interesting about Werner von Braun. So he's on his deathbed, and a woman by the name of Carol Rosen, and maybe you can look her up, Meigs, if you don't already know her. And I
Yes.
believe it's Rosin.
Yeah.
Very close to Werner von Braun. Do we all know who Werner von Braun is?
NASA, right? The head of NASA.
He was the head German scientist in charge of Nazi Germany's V1 and V2 weapons. These were their final, last grasp weapons, had no chance of winning the war. They were simply terror weapons. It was the first intercontinental ballistic missile that has ever existed. After the war, as part of Project Paperclip, we bring a ton of those
bring 'em
Nazis
on over.
and we put them all in the CIA and NASA and a few other little special places, which we're going to talk about.
Quite amazing.
Yeah.
So, flash forward.
You gave all
Apollo
your-
11, the moon landings, the Great American Victory, yada, yada, yada. I want to say he died in 1977. And Meigs, also pull up his headstone, because this is what's
Ooh, yes.
because this is unbelievable.
She just had a conspiracy.
So again, this is one of those double. So you've got Carol Rosen, who worked at NASA, worked
This
with
with
him.
him, yes.
He was her mentor, and she's not the only one at NASA that says this. Now you'll never hear from these people, and if you do, it's probably in the form of she was
gone now.
driving with a diaper trying to kill her boyfriend in Arkansas or some
yeah.
ridiculous.
Yeah.
reason. This was not Carol Rosen, though. That was a different astronaut.
Right.
But Carol Rosen at a conference, at a MUFON conference, or it could have been, who is the guy with the disclosure program?
Stephen Greer.
Yeah, thank you. She came up and talked about the fact that on his deathbed, Werner Braun said, Carol, you've got to tell the world that the last deception, what is really going on in space, is they are going to stage an alien invasion. And that, we've never
We
been
already
able.
did that. It was
we've
called
never,
War of the Worlds.
We've never been. No, that's predictive
movie.
programming for what's coming. This is most likely.
the greatest predictive programming ever.
Yeah.
They got the whole world believing we're about to get visited. A lot of people believe there's something in the sky. Now you just have one tough question to figure out, which is, what is it that's up there? Is it really little green men from another planet? Or is it the demons that have always been here, just coming in disguise? We're gonna talk about that. But Carol Rosen goes on to say that this was one of, now it's a deathbed confession. Hard to verify those. But Carol
It's
Rosen has a
hearsay.
reputation to protect.
Yeah.
This does not help her. She doesn't have a book deal. There's no movies about Carol Rosen. I guarantee you NASA turned on her when she starts saying things like this. So it's not fun. Believe me, and I feel this in my personal life all the time. Just the little piranha that are nipping at your heels when you are doing something that might be considered like against the grain or against
Sure.
someone's,
Even the
someone's
someone's
conversation.
esoteric
Yes.
agenda.
Okay. Werner von Braun says to Carol at his deathbed, he says, "And remember, Carol, the last card is the alien card. We are going to have to build space-based weapons against aliens, and all of it is a lie."
Good morning. My name is Carol Rosen. In 1974, I was introduced to the late Dr. Werner von Braun in the U.S., the father of rocketry. That as a military strategist, as a person who worked on the MX missile, which I did later, he said, "No, you have to understand. This is February, and we have to prevent the weaponization of space because there is a lie being told to everyone." And then he would repeat to me over and over, and the last card, the last card, the last card would be the extraterrestrial threat. We have witnesses here who have worked in the classified departments who have the courage to come forward here to support what Werner von Braun told me back in 1974 to 77. And I will testify before the Congress under oath about everything I have said and more. Thank you.
And this is coming from a top-notch, highfalutin NASA official, Werner von Braun, whose headstone, whose tombstone has Psalms 19:1 on it, which reads, "The heavens declare the glory of God, and the firmament sheweth his handiwork." He put a Bible verse, out of all the verses in the Bible he could have put on his gravestone, he put one about the firmament of the earth.
Now, for people that don't know what firmament is, because I didn't really know, there's
Rebirth?
different words for it. No.
Atmosphere.
It basically means the canopy or the covering over Earth, implying that we're in a flat world. Now, how amazing of a deception would it be?
So wait, what does firmament mean?
Firmament
exactly?
means that it
dome?
implies that there is a dome over Earth. God
Oh.
says it in Genesis that he
Okay.
put a firmament.
Yeah, but couldn't that also be our atmosphere?
It could be.
Okay.
It could be, but there are many other passages.
For
that
the
talk-
round, for the
We're in
for
the Truman
sorry,
Show right now.
For the for the
Very,
Remember that movie?
again, that's a nice example of
Yeah.
predictive programming, and there's a lot of that going on. And when you look at, go look at the picture of someone that just won the Super Bowl. Then go look at the Apollo 11 astronauts at their press conference after landing back on Earth. You're looking at three men that looked like their dog just was killed. They supposedly just accomplished the greatest feat in human history. But you can see it on their faces. I think we're going to be able to show that image.
At this time, I'd like to introduce the Apollo 11 crew, astronauts Neil Armstrong, Michael Collins, Edwin Aldrin. Neil?
It was our pleasure to have participated in one great adventure. It's an adventure that took place not just in the month of July, but rather one that took place in the last decade. We all here and the people listening in today had the opportunity to share that adventure over its developing and unfolding in the past months and years. It's our privilege today to share with you.
Look, at the end of the day, one of the tricks that exists in this world, whether by design or not, is this book actually is a very thick and direct link to God in heaven. And if you read this book, the thick lines represent, let's call it a close rate. Because here's something about this life. No matter how great or wonderful you think this life has been for you or is, and I've been on both sides of this equation, trust me. If you don't get to heaven, if you don't find God, this life will end up being a failure, and you're not going to get yanked out. If you've never wanted him, you've never gone to seek him out, you've never answered, when you die, he is not going to yank you against your will and put you in his kingdom. He's not going to do it. He's only going to put people there that choose it.
Yeah.
And all these religions tell you that the way to get to heaven is by the things you do. Kill less people, swear less, do more good works.
Right.
That is total BS. And I was blown away because that's the exact opposite of what's said in this book. So
I'm
yes,
glad that you're saying all this because that's what I've always truly believed in my heart.
I
Well,
think,
that is it. If
look,
you-
God said
Really.
he will write the truth on our hearts. Things that we
Yes.
intuitively know, if you're his, they're going to keep popping up in your life. I mean, I think that's one of the ways he communicates with you. Now, a lot of people ask, well, why doesn't God just come down here and put on a magic show?
See
'Cause
what
I have
happened when he
searched-
did
Great,
it.
powerful
I've searched
God.
that.
I've got two answers to
tried
that.
Oz.
Any magic show he puts on here can be counterfeited.
Right.
And when you really understand the technology and what Wernher von Braun is really talking about, what has really been done in space for the last 50 years that is in preparation for what the Bible wrote would be the greatest deception in the history of humanity. That's what's really being built up there. And the guys that work on these black projects, well, how do you get all these people to do this? See, what they're told by people that also believe this story is that we really were visited by aliens. And Eisenhower really did meet the tall grays at the Graeda Treaty in 1952, like his granddaughter talks about. Eisenhower's granddaughter talks about this event.
I mean, I do feel a huge responsibility coming in to this family line. Basically, Project Paperclip was put into place, which started this massive infiltration, including this flyover of UFOs over the Capitol, which was in 1952, 2 years before the actual treaty got signed. And
An air traffic controller at Washington National Airport picks up 7 objects on radar. He later describes them as completely radical compared to ordinary aircraft. By July 29th, the Air Force issues an unprecedented shoot-down order. The Washington Post writes, no pilot has been able to get close enough to take a shot, as the objects are outflying the jets by 1,000 miles an hour.
during that particular time in history, during his administration, it was very difficult to really understand the larger picture that we're now getting more clarity on in regards to the nature of these treaties. As we know, or at least a lot of people know, if they've done research on this subject, that Eisenhower had contact with at least 3 different occasions with numerous different races.
It is this group of observations that we now are attempting to resolve.
After Samford speaks, Major Donald Kehoe takes the microphone, and what he says is shocking.
With all due respect to the Air Force, I believe that some of them will prove to be of interplanetary origin.
I want these links.
Yeah. No, look, we'll
Yeah.
put them. If you watch our edited shows, we go back and dress them up with the stuff that is on the fly. But even, I believe, unbeknownst to Eisenhower, what he was meeting with, what he thought were aliens, were actually just demons. He just himself didn't even know it. So you've got all these black project guys, and a lot of them defect out once they finally figure this out. But the reason they're motivated to push the budgeting, to push the work, to advance the technology is because they are doing it under the belief that Earth is literally about to be attacked by superior intelligence, and we have got to do anything to keep this quiet and to ramp up as fast as possible because they believe they're doing it for good. Like, you can't really get humans to get up and want to do evil and lie. We are, if we're God's creation, there's good in us. But obviously, for a reason, and I think you said something yesterday that really hit me, which is you think this life is a test.
Yeah, oh, definitely.
And then we got into the basic training.
Yeah.
Very possibly, God's grand design is to leave demons here because they are those drill sergeants that work at basic training.
Right.
And if you can get past all the junk that they're going to throw at you, it's kind of your way of getting through. And that's why he never seems to worry about it.
Right.
Teach you.
And that's one of the things, Meegs, and I'm going to ask you this because there's some.
I think so. I agree with that.
The benefits of knowing God aren't necessarily in this world. You'd asked last week, like, you get riches, and you might. But don't count on it, because the promises that he makes for this world, there are really no promises. He makes promises about the next world.
Right.
And when it just hits you that, wow, there's a heaven and a hell, and you know where you're going. Even getting a phone call from the police yesterday about a stalking warrant that's meritless doesn't ruin your day.
Right.
You know, just nothing is that big of a
because
deal.
you know where your heart lies.
There's
like,
benefits
genuinely.
to it. And the other thing is these things that are so freaking scary. Thank you, programming of mainstream media. Things like demons and the supernatural. I mean, this freaks some people out. But, Meegs, is there anything to be scared of once you know what's going on?
Oh, heck no. But you do certainly go through a little season of fear once you wake up to the fact that, there are unclean spirits. There are demonic spirits floating around, and there's angels too.
And
but
I also think there's a huge fear of people losing their physical bodies because people fear death very much. They just don't think that there's way more to your destination than there just is this physical body. But that's a big fear that people have too, like with Revelations and whatnot. They're like, oh, I might die. Like, everybody's so scared to die, but they have to realize that it's more
right.
It's spiritual. It's beyond that.
Teaches you that your physical body
This is just a
all
vessel.
you got,
As a T-Rex armament.
Say that again, Meegs?
This culture, our society teaches you that your physical body is all we got, and it's something to be worshipped in a way, and it's the greatest, pleasure you'll ever have.
You can morph it anymore.
But that's totally not, once you find the truth, that the Bible is actually true, it gives you such a sense of purpose in life, and you can let go of the cares and concerns, the surface level concerns of this world, the fleshy concerns of this world, and it kind of is a big release. It's amazing to kind of have a more spiritual purpose, or just a sense of what the heck is going on in this world. It's not all physical.
Yeah, this goes to that comment
spiritual.
that you said, KJ, last week about, what does that mean, giving it up to God? Because I used to hear that, and it would drive me. What? How am I going on YouTube and finding these people that have been touched by God, and they're all happy and fulfilled, because I am angry and I'm pissed?
I just don't believe that you can just throw your hands up and say, Spirit, take all of my worries and all of my bills and all of my concerns.
Right, no.
That's your bills.
You made a good joke about it, because if I did that, you're right, dude, I'd be in a homeless shelter in about 90 days, basically.
Right. But there's so many people that just say that, though. We
but
talked about
this
that
is what I'm
last
talking
time.
about. So that little thing I just kind of joked about, where I've got my ex doing some just funky stuff, where in another lifetime this would have driven me nuts. I would have been focused today on finding lawyers and making my case. And so this is what I think giving it up to God is. It's just, you know what? I'm not going to worry about it. This will take care of itself.
Right.
I am not going to go seek my own vengeance, which that's what I used to do. Believe you did not. Like, I'm good to you if you're good to me, but if you're bad, then, oh, man, I was a mother.
Oh, don't tell me, honey. I'm from the east side, baby.
No, because okay,
I'm from
that's
Mount
someone
Clemens.
I wouldn't want to cross.
I know. I'm from Mount Clemens.
She's like Bill
You don't know about
Lambier.
that.
And like Shelf, you want him on your team.
That's it.
Okay.
I have a sweet face.
We're going to close up. Any questions or thoughts, anyone, about anything?
No, I have to take a quick break.
All right. One thing, Eric, I did want to say to you, because a couple shows ago you said, Hooper, I feel like I'm 180 degrees away from you because I'm open-minded right now. Okay. And I did not field that very well, because before I stumbled on this, I myself was very open to. And then I spent the next 7 years, 8 now, studying this full effing time. Like, there is not a doubt in my mind that I'm beyond the point now where I feel like I did have questions and whatever, and I literally, and this isn't 7 years of part-time work. This is what I did full-time. thanks to another business I've got, I've been able to do this. Right. And for me, because I love this stuff, Meigs gets it. I'm in it 12 to 14 hours a day, and I've yet to find something.
Conspiracy addict.
It doesn't pay well, but it's a labor of love.
You mean the study in the Bible?
Oh, it's everything.
All of the,
okay.
I think
Conspiracy leads
Meigs
you to
has
the
this.
Bible.
I think she has the same calling I do, which is one of the taglines of this show. This is an Ephesians 5:11 operation, which exists to uncover the unfruitful deeds of darkness. So it is, in a sense, a command to do that. Not to live in the swill and get muddy with the pigs, but to let people know, hey, here's how evil operates in this world. There are some people that are just tasked with getting that message out. And I'm not trying to get overly spiritual here, and I haven't even talked about this specifically with Meigs, but I got a feeling I'm going to ask you right on the spot. Do you have that feeling too, Meigs?
Oh, I mean, yeah, like I live my life basically like the goal for me is to expose evil and help bring people to an understanding of what we're dealing with in this world. The satanic influence on our government, the Freemasonic influence on our government, and hopefully through that lead people to God. Because I don't care about money anymore. I don't care about clothes and shopping and boys and I don't care about that anymore.
And you so will be successful with your adventure too, because I always say I have the empathy, I always have the feelings, I have the the thoughts and the feels, and you don't have a bad feeling about you at all. You are of love and light for sure.
Meigs?
Oh yeah.
Oh, without a dude.
Yeah,
without a doubt. Dude.
Without a dude. Without a dude doubt.
Without a dude, I'd be doubting Meigs. Okay, never mind.
Yeah, because there's no bad vibes at all there. That's it's all good.
Well, once you know about this stuff, it's like you do have a responsibility to help other people understand it too. We can't just sit on the knowledge we have, it's not going to do us any favors. It's not going to, we have to speak out about it. And I've overcome feeling like a doofus talking about, things that could be considered embarrassing or, silly to people who don't quite understand yet the seriousness of it. God kind of helps you build character in that way. You just develop a thick skin and you're focused on getting the truth out. So, the truth.
Hey, do me a favor, Meigs. Will you look up, I want to say it's Revelation 3:9. We're going to address something else KJ brought up last week.
Alrighty.
I had a conversation while she's looking for that earlier this week where I was talking to a guy who was, he wants to be involved in, say, the freedom movement, but he doesn't like all the religion that's attached to it, where a lot of people say that are, right wing. A lot of those guys are Christian, okay? And we'll kind of push that onto this younger guy who doesn't, he's not ready, right? He's learning about the government and how he's being
Think
screwed.
about the mind program going on that he won't even look at what is, I believe, naturally part of the full truth. And to deny part of it is to not be seeking the truth. But there's a topic that just even people that are well-versed in these esoteric areas, they won't even touch it.
Well, and I'll bring this back to what I said a
that
couple
was my
episodes
point.
ago or whatever, because you're taught when you were a young kid that magic doesn't exist. And this is all very magical. All these things in the sky and all these, these
and you're also
things that you're told that you can't believe because you can't see or feel or touch. That's why a lot of people have an issue with believing it, because you're told that magic doesn't exist, ghosts don't exist, this doesn't. They all
different
do
families
exist.
teach different things,
right?
But we definitely, through a million sitcoms, mentioning the name Jesus is actually. He even knew it would be hard. He even said, "I know some people will be ashamed of my name." I totally get it, because of all you can say Buddha, no big deal. You can say, I can mention a lot of people from history, but that's the one name. The one that's the most famous is the one name that it divides everything. People down their hearts, history, nations, religions. There is something about him you should note, even if you don't read the Bible. There's something about what that man did. And we're going to get more into it because for me, I was not looking to fill some hole. Believe me, 8 years ago, frankly, I don't think I would have wanted this to be the truth, because this means that, in a sense, someone owns us.
I have a good question.
Like there's something over. I'm not completely in charge of my life.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I can't change the truth of that either way. I can either embrace it or live in denial.
I have a very good question. Okay. I feel like I'm very spiritual. I connect with people on a deep level. I can feel things deeply. And I feel like, honestly, like Jesus loves me and he thinks I'm awesome. Well, there's some people
That's
that weren't
true.
born that way. There's some people that weren't born with that intuition or born with that special something or
That's where
born
we
with
come
that. You know what I'm saying?
Well,
like how do those
there are
people who
7
don't
gifts.
feel that deeply or who don't get those type of things, how do they become one of God's warriors or like if they just don't have the tools to do it?
I
You know
don't
what I'm
think
saying?
there's a human being on earth that does not have the tools.
Yeah,
I think
because
everything
I
is
do.
here. I think you do
I feel
too.
people that kill like kids that kill puppies and stuff like that. I feel like most of them don't have the correct tools. in
Some
their
of them, you can
toolbox,
see like sociopathy, and
I understand what you mean. though.
Yeah.
there are some people.
I'm just saying I was blessed with the gift, but
You
there's
were,
a lot of
and
people who
actually,
weren't.
God talks about, and I think Meeks, correct me if I'm wrong. There's like 7 different. Some people are given like this spiritual intuition. Some people are preachers.
So this has already been
Some-
very discussed, and there's 7 different.
This is what's amazing is
Okay.
everything that could possibly come up in life actually is addressed one way or another. It's just unbelievable. It is unbelievable, and I just never knew it until I started. But yeah, there are 7 things. Some people can heal. Some people can't. Some people are given wisdom and knowledge, like they're
Right.
given the ability to. I
The
think
gifts of the Spirit.
Right. And I think what Meeks, the one that we drew our winning lotto ticket on, was being able to just see how evil operate, and it just comes naturally.
Yeah.
Some guys pick up a guitar. I can't play guitar or anything. Some
Dude,
people can pick it up
KJ.
and play like Jimi Hendrix.
Some people are, it's left brain, right brain. You're either like mathematic or you're artistic, or somewhere,
Meeks was a hardcore atheist just a couple years
I
ago.
know.
Look how different. And she now knows she's going to heaven. There's nothing she ever needs to worry about again. And
Beyond the
dude,
shadow of a doubt. And it helped. It honestly, like, I hated listening to, like, anybody tell me that I needed to find God to get out of my depression. But honestly, that was the only thing that actually got me right out of it. It was like night and day difference once I found God, once I said that prayer. I mean, it really was like an instantaneous an overnight change for me, and that's how it is for some people. It's like a shocking night and day difference once you do open your heart to the truth of God. But KJ, I wanted to tell you real quick, when I was looking at testimonies, like when I first became born again, there's this one called From a Sociopathic Atheist to a Christian Apologist. Literally a guy who is a sociopath plotting to kill his dad, like legit wanted to kill his dad and was plotting out ways to do it. He gives a testimony about how he actually, God like smacked him upside the head, and he stumbled onto the truth that God was real, and he completely changed. He has like a 30-minute testimony. It really like brought me to tears. But we'll put that in the description.
some people change overnight. The knowledge hit me in a millisecond, but I'm still changing. Like, my heart has definitely changed. My desires for retribution and vengeance, my warmth, my patience, they're all moving in a good direction in my life. I'm definitely a work under, because I got flaws, unbelievable amounts of them. We all do at the end of the day. And I think that, the very thing that was upsetting to hear, which was upsetting for me to hear at first too, was Adolf Hitler can get saved? What is that? Think about it like this,
Did
though.
you just make fun of me?
No. She said it too. Whatever. Maybe I did. I don't know.
That's exactly what you
We're
sound like.
brothers like that.
It was such a
making
good.
fun of me,
It
making
was
like
such
a-
a good.
Think of it like
impression.
this. If that guy can get saved for what he has done, you can too. That means there's nothing that you have done. Nothing. I don't care if you've even eaten babies. Just saying.
Man, I don't know about that.
Well,
it goes deep down the rabbit hole when you think about what what is bad and what is good, and like, because there's a lot of things in my life that I've done that I can't decipher whether it's therapeutic or good or bad or evil, or you know what I'm saying?
Clarity
it's
is coming your way. You're
right. I
Forgiveness
know.
has got to be there too. Like
There's
a lot
always
of people,
goodness in that and everything. Like just.
Yeah, but you got to forgive yourself too. If there's certain things, like some people will
beat
kind of
yourself
keep hurting
up
themselves because they've already hurt themselves, or they've done something and they've thrown away a relationship, and it's easier to spiral down.
It's kind of like going all in when you've chased a bad hand and you're like, F it. I'm just
That's
going
it.
all
It's
in,
the
and
effort.
I'm like, whatever. I mean,
Sure.
I'm just gonna, be honest and put it this way about being, I used to be in the adult industry. I'm sure some people know that, but
what?
Oh my gosh!
I
Oh,
thought you were
jeez.
a Christian choir singer.
Yeah,
What
I'm
the-
a Christian.
Dude, we all have a
ex-adult
past,
star,
man.
but
Nice to
but
say
a
no
lot of
judgments.
the times when I would be at the clubs working and whatnot, I'd meet people and I felt like they really met me for a reason and they needed me, and I was there for them, and it was where do you find the boundaries between what is exactly wrong or evil and what is
in this
right?
book, because it is inspired by God, in my opinion, and He really lays out.
Because in my opinion, I've been nothing but helpful and
And
good
that's probably
and,
why, dude,
and
he
loving
is, like,
towards
knocking
people.
on your door in one way, shape, form, or another. And
knocking on heaven's door.
But I can be
Yeah,
judged
literally.
within 2 seconds. It's like there's this wall.
But I
you
think-
never know which side of the wall.
But look, it's a process. Just so you're not in the clear like today. But maybe you are. I don't know. This is something now. It gets very, because we are not saved in groups. It's a very
I know.
individual process.
I know.
If you think you're gonna hang with your buds while this
Bible
happens,
group, Bible study group.
I can't really think of any groups really that
I know.
are saved, and it's a very individual, and it changes your life, because once you know, and I'm like, this is the kind of know that it's like, I know I love my son. I don't care what anyone says or what reports they show me or what videos they show me of our pet. I know I love him, and I know it. That's how certain I am about this. And once you know that, I think this is what Meigs was saying, is you can never do anything else, and you don't care about money anymore. I mean, we got to build some bills to pay and a few things like that, but
keeps you moving.
Wanting to get a yacht, actually, I still would like to get a yacht, but it's
401
not on my list. Like,
The 401 yacht.
Yep.
okay, let's see how open our eyes are. This is a little test. We saw this clip last week. Remember, I like to typically, when I show a clip, I like to show something that has got 2 mistakes pointing to the same crime, in a sense.
Okay.
I'm going to play this, and I'm going to see if you guys catch it. Something strange happens. And let me see if you guys catch it. I do not think we need sound for this, so I'm going to mute it. All right, ready?
Yeah.
Go.
The first
Do
building's
it.
been hit, and we're about to watch an airplane hit the second building.
Uh-oh. What happened?
I don't know. This thing is...
Messing up on you.
Wow.
Hey Meigs, when you said you found it, did the reason why that you came out of your depression was because you felt that your life had more of a purpose?
Oh my gosh, big time, big time. Well, I think when you're living in the world, all you can strive for is like fame and fortune and money and whatever. But when you find God's truth, that is the exact opposite of what you want to strive for. And it takes so much pressure off of you. And you find what you've always been looking for was right in front of you all along. And it's love and relationships and caring about others over yourself and helping people find the truth. And
I've been paying attention to the Gospels more recently. And I just noticed kind of how Jesus, I mean, I know he gets frustrated, but he's just a real relaxed dude, and for what I found is that once I finally accepted him, like I've always known, I just was fighting it,
Yeah.
But once I accepted it, that's how I felt. Is that a lot of the like anger stuff? Not like I'm doing it for him, but it was kind of like there's no reason for it.
Right.
There's no reason to be angry at the guy next to you. There's no reason for road rage, even though it still happens.
I
know.
thought
Oh,
Jesus.
road
I
rage,
always
road
thought
rage.
that Jesus was a real cool dude, but it's because I got to watch Jesus Christ Superstar
But
when I
that's
was real,
fine.
real young, and I just thought, man, he's Ted Neely. Ooh, he's so good looking. His voice, ooh, his long hair, like in his prostitute wife and or girlfriend, and like
Think about it like this,
I know,
though.
but that's the vision I had
This
of
dude
the cool
was
Jesus when I was
involved
young.
in
you
the
know?
creation of the universe, and
I
we can
know.
actually prove that scientifically. I know that sounds strange because we've been programmed to think that's impossible.
Do you think he creates people to connect with him though? Like how I was saying, like there's
I
some
think-
people, there's some people who are born without that gift, and there's some that were born with
Why
it.
do
Do you think
have?
he?
Why do you have a dog?
Because it's like my dog is like my little soulmate. My
Yeah, you
partner
have
in my love.
relationship. He can't do anything for you.
But if I had an idiotic dog that was just like duh, 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 and I was
right.
stuck with an
maybe
idiotic
you
dog,
wouldn't
maybe
be able
he
to
would
let
be
him
like,
into your house. Do you understand what I'm saying? Hence the rules for dogs book that we call the Bible. There's
I know,
some
but
things
what
that
if my father created this
I love
dog and like then stuck me with the retarded dog?
Okay, let's stick
I-
to.
This sounds terrible.
She's a work in progress,
It
people. We're
sounds
getting-
terrible. Okay. I'm just saying, like, what if my dog wasn't genetically created like that awesome where it was connecting with me that much and it was hard to deal with and it was like
Then you might
wanting
decide
to
to
eat
not
like all
have
the
a-
cats in the neighborhood and
Then you might not let him into your home anymore, or you might go take him
I
to
know,
a
but I
shelter.
wouldn't do that because if I was stuck with this dog, like, and I adopted this dog that had all these, you know, not correct genes or whatever, like that's my dog.
Well, that's
I'm
what
stuck
that's
with
what
it.
God is dealing with, and that's
Okay.
where the whole
Okay.
born again thing has to happen because
But
we
you
are
can't take a dog that's that
we are
crazy
genetically
and make
compromised.
it born again.
We are. See, look, this is one of the problems that God has because when we fell, when whatever this fruit from this forbidden tree is,
Right.
something happened physically inside of us where we went from being some sort of a light angel-like being that could be in God's presence to one where all of a sudden it was harmful to be in his presence. And think about it like this. If we can't even look into the sun because it's so bright, supposedly 93 million miles away, we'll talk about that later. Now, if God is pure light and there's no darkness in him, there's no sin in him, and he appears in front of someone that doesn't have the protective shield to get into the little clean room, and he appears in that full light. Whatever darkness there is in us, I think will just gets it will kill our bodies. It's a fatal. So I don't think his appearing in front of people is like the best way to go about it.
Right.
And like I said, it can be counterfeited. What he's doing here, where he predicts the future with precision across a series of books over 1,500 years in different languages, that message cannot be corrupted. You can tear a book out, a page out, the whole message gets through completely.
And I do want to apologize for using the word retarded. I don't mean to use the word.
Oh
retarded
no,
to
you know,
say
let's
that.
not buy into this whole PC
No,
thing.
because I
Retarded means
absolutely-
slowed. It doesn't mean like.
Okay, well,
This
no,
is-
and I love. You just said do do do. That's terrible.
Well, that's because
I,
that's
like we're just feeling.
Is that what you
We're
did?
just we're no. You just did that. We're
Yeah, I'm
feeling.
already
Okay,
a
now
non-politically
I will
correct-
say that I love any retarded friend I've ever met in my life, and God, you know,
Oh my
because they're
God.
so
Yeah.
cuddly and loving,
Yeah.
and they see the world through like. No,
yeah.
they see the world through eyes that are just.
We're gonna go hang out with our Jewish
know.
friends after the show.
We're gonna
Remember
go
that
hang
guy
out
in
with
the
a
canoe
whole
when we were
like.
kids? Okay,
a
let's
whole
get
comic
back on
book
point
worth
here.
of people.
All right. I cannot show you the video that was going to play, but I will splice that into the edited version. And what you will find
Thanks
is
for the warning.
as the second plane is hitting the second tower, if you focus your eyes on the first tower that's already been hit, coordinated simultaneously, you will see about a dozen explosions coordinated to go off exactly as plane 2 hits tower 1. And you can see all these black poofs of smoke come out over about 15 floors.
Squibs.
In the, they're like mini squibs. But it obviously there was something going on in the other building. These people are.
What is a squib?
Squib is, you know, that puff of smoke that you see pop out
Okay.
during a
Building
controlled
buildings.
demolition.
Yeah.
Not one of the things that gave 9/11 away as a controlled demolition is.
Squibs are the seventh indicator of a controlled demolition. In demolition vernacular, squibs refer to visible blasts from explosive charges. Often they are visible through mistiming or malfunction in some way. Usually they are hidden in the debris cloud. In simple terms, squibs are visual evidence of explosives. Squibs were recorded from the moment of the plane impacts through the collapse of the towers. For me, they went unnoticed until I looked at the video more closely. These stills captured squibs as the towers collapsed. I didn't think poofs of smoke should be coming out of buildings whose fires are dozens of floors above. The official version stated these squibs were compressed air caused by the pancaking floors, which squeezed the air to the point of bursting out a window. The seal of the building was broken when the collapse began. Logically, if it was compressed air, it should have found the path of least resistance through the broken part of the building. It shouldn't have knocked out a window here or a window there, as many as 40 floors below the blast wave.
Theorists tend to say, well, that's just air being blown out the windows. It doesn't really work to say it's just air pressure. And estimated these are coming out faster than 100 miles an hour.
The following clips show multiple squibs popping out, sometimes simultaneously, sometimes dozens of floors away from each other. Of all of the 9/11 information I've come across, this may have been the easiest to spot, and yet it provided me with one of those stark moments in which the reality of 9/11 sunk in to a new level. In this clip, notice how the blast occurred before the floors above reached the blast ejection point. In this footage, a large blast of fire is seen when the collapse begins an hour and 42 minutes after impact for the North Tower, after the fuel and furnishings had presumably burned up. Where did the energy come from to create that fireball? Not all squibs, however, were easy to spot. Remember we discussed explosions that were timed to go off with the plane impacts? This is the first plane impact. Notice the dark brown smoke coming out of the top floor. This smoke is already dissipating before the plane even strikes the building. In this segment, the NBC camera is pointed at the North Tower, the first tower hit. In a few seconds, the second tower is going to be hit. You'll know it when it happens because of the reporter's voice and the fireball in the lower left corner of the screen. Now keep your eye focused on the east facade, the one on the left. Notice how several tiny explosions go off as the second plane hits the other building. Perhaps this was in an effort to mask some necessary work prior to the North Tower's demolition, as I was thinking at the time.
Another one just hit. Something else just hit.
Their story was that this pancaking
Right.
building caused windows 100 floor, 80 floors below
Right.
the plane impact to just pop out all of a sudden.
Right.
But those are actually just mistimed, wired demolition explosions.
Right. I'll just say now that squib is like my new favorite word.
Squibs. I
It's
love the word
seriously.
squibs.
Here it is. It
we need a
is.
friend nicknamed Squibs.
We need to all get tattoos that just
Squib.
say squibs.
Do you have any nicknames?
What fun are you, Al? You never want to party with me.
On David Hooper's page, the Facebook Live video, we got Glenda Mason.
Yeah.
Our favorite
We
person.
also have JB Hockerschmidt. We have Dwayne.
Hi,
Dietz.
JB.
Dwayne Dietz up in the house.
What's up, Dwayne Dietz?
Hi, Dwayne.
And
That song.
Glenda
Or
Mason,
that
as
song.
soon as we got done with Kelly's little retard ramp there, he
Ooh.
he
Threw it under the bus again.
He said, "Oh, geez."
Okay.
So anyway,
And Glenn, we've affectionately, because there's a lot of syllables in your name, we refer to you as GRD. You are
GRD.
right now our #1 commenter.
Gerd, what up, Gerd?
Now, if he's Jeezing you, I think our retarded jokes are over for the moment. Or are they? Okay, let's move on. We saw the $1,000 bill last week, the Phoenix Rising. Just want to, here's another magazine controlled by the same mainstream media, The Economist. They also, all in preparations for a one world currency, because they're going to collect. And here is a phoenix again coming, or what appears to be the same type of bird coming out of that.
What's the date on this issue?
Good question.
2008, 2009. I don't know why I'm thinking that. Maybe 2010.
Look, you could find this almost on every issue. And Charles, we got like a data.
We know.
We got like a data slowdown that is off.
We know.
So you were about to show the mechanical lion. I love this. I love that we're going to get into this piece.
I'm not going to show it now because it'll clog up this computer.
Okay.
But you taught me that Da Vinci, he actually made an artificial intelligence. He made a robot.
Yeah.
And this would have been about the 1500s. This was a
What
robotic.
didn't he do?
What?
What didn't he do?
What didn't he do?
This was a robotic lion that he designed. I don't believe he ever built it, but it was built recently, and it.
Watch the movie Hugo. It explains about cool stuff like that, like mechanical
So Dwayne Dietz in the comments just said, you all know there's a photo of the first plane shortly before it struck Tower 1. I don't know where that's coming from, but anyway, he just put it in the chat.
Okay. This is a
Thanks,
presidential debate in 2000.
Tweets.
Do you guys see anything strange? This is right off of CNN. You guys see anything strange?
Hold on, I gotta look at it. It's
Take
like
a look.
a puzzle.
Let's see if your eyes are starting to. Meegs, do you see anything?
She can't see the video yet.
One of the lights is not straight on the stage.
Does anyone see here? Here we are again with devil faces. Does anyone see the devil face between the two candidates?
Oh!
Yeah, the
Creepy.
You can go back and download that from CNN. See if you saw.
OMG!
Now, yes,
That's so scary.
This goes back to.
You see it on the TV that we're looking at, but if you look on the Facebook Live video, it's perfectly. You can see.
Wow.
Well, I mean, you
That
can
is
see it way
nuts.
better on the video, though.
Okay, because
That's
by the way,
insanity.
Meegs, where's the devil hidden again?
In the details.
Wow.
All right, so
Wow.
we're gonna.
That is freaky.
Just
Who is
one
that
of
on stage?
hundreds of examples we've already shown that we will continue to show that whatever something controls our media that is associated with eyes and pyramids and devil faces and something that this ancient series of books warned us would be here. It's reptilian, it's serpent-like.
Wow.
Very strange stuff. Okay. What do you guys thought? When you guys see that, do you get
Who is
scared?
that? Who's on stage?
Looks like 2000. So this would have been
Is that's
Gore and
Bush?
No, that ain't Bush. This is
That's
probably
Buchanan.
This is the Democratic side. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh well, now I'm apolitical, but if I weren't, I'd make a joke. Well, now we know who the Democrats work for, but they all work for them, my friends.
Yeah, it's yep.
Although, okay, this is very interesting, guys. Real quick, the logos for the Democrat and the Republican Party. Guess which party has an inverted pentagram on their logo?
Well, they all just flip their stars upside down to make pentagrams.
Obama's got some horns.
The Republican Party has an elephant with 3 inverted pentagrams as their logo. So I don't know which side the devil's working for, but I would say both.
He operates a Hegelian dialectic on the world. He owns both sides of the conversation. In almost every scenario known to man.
I agree.
Okay, so Obama gives a speech, and I don't remember the date of the speech, but it was a presidential address from the White House. In the shots that were taken because there's several cameras on the president anytime, and all these feeds get out into the world. Now the feed, that goes live is the one that's on the right. And do you see the Baphomet horns that are strategically placed in a shot where they did not exist in the real shot on the left?
Oh my gosh.
Hold on. That's
Those
a
two
recorded.
curtains.
The shot on
The
the left
left
was
was
what we were
recorded.
showing on TV during his address.
Got it.
The one on the right is a picture.
That's the one that was released
No,
by
vice
that was
versa.
released by the
Like-
media. The one on the left was live image of people photographing that were
Okay,
there.
and then on the right was what was released on the media.
Wow.
With the horns.
Dude, that is bizarre.
Okay. All right, we're going to look at a few other corporate. Now, we've been in music. We've been in the mainstream media. We're starting to look at, their logos, the all-seeing eye. You certainly see it with, CBS, for instance. We're going to exactly. We're going to start to now link this to the corporate world. And basically, this will, for us, I think, wrap up at least the first stage of this presentation, which is there is an organized evil cabal. We were already we're trying to figure out who this is. Is this the dude they're talking about in the Bible? Or is this someone else that's copying what they read in the Bible as a joke? That's what we're going to have to find out.
It's magic.
It's both.
It's magic.
Okay, so whenever I see like
destined to
3-4
Yeah.
things in one
pushing
little
it.
ad, I always find that interesting. So we're about to pull up something from L'Oreal. And yes,
Wow,
fashion,
weird.
absolutely, fashion
6.66.
is without a doubt. So number one, I don't know, this is 6.66. I don't know if that's the price or that's how much, red dye is in there, whatever. But come on. 6.66.
And her hair is flame red.
And what's the name of the product?
Babylon.
Babylon?
That's
Wow.
Satan's first kingdom.
That's on
In
purpose.
fact, God even says that mysterious Babylon, which exists not just as a nation but in spirit, will be a lot, and it will get destroyed, whatever it is. I'm a little fearful that it is the United States, but whatever.
That's pretty weird.
Okay.
What blew my mind, though, and I told everybody all week, was the national anthem. Like, that whole subliminal thing that you showed me. That's,
last week, yeah.
That was
Oh,
crazy.
you missed that.
I've seen it.
You totally.
You watched it?
Yeah, I watched
Yeah,
it.
do you guys watch
That
the
was
edited
freaky,
versions?
freaky,
or do you
freaky.
guys
Sure
just,
do. Yep. Well, that's how I pick up.
Gilligan's Island
I get
all
enough
week.
of you here. I don't need you anymore in my life.
That's the way but I pick up extra
We
stuff.
did
I
this
know,
one.
but we're going to
when I
connect
watch the
it.
episode.
Okay.
There was something that, again, this is a little spiritual part of our show. She noticed the Medusa touch.
Yeah.
She
She
pointed to
noticed
it.
the eye,
I then
the
went,
lightning
looked,
bolt.
found the eye. We linked that to all of those Oculus, Oculi, all the eyes at Ground Zero. And it was also associated with this, we called it the SS bolts. Because there's a lot of demonic symbols out there. It's not just pyramids and pentagrams. There's a lot of them that all communicate different things. But I did find it odd that while we were talking about Ground Zero and this particular movie, amongst many, while also talking about the Trilateral Commission, I noticed something. Do you guys notice anything on this Trilateral Commission seal?
You got the lightning bolts.
Well, the
you got
serpents.
Serpents. You got the.
How many heads does that serpent have?
3, 4, 5,
Seven.
6, 7.
A seven. Let's remember that.
Oh, you got a pentagram too.
Because there is a beast in Revelation that's coming out of the sea, out of
This
the
is
people,
a serious, like,
that is
stamp.
going to have, what is it, a 10-head, 7-horn beast? Now, a beast is just it's a system. It's a governmental
This
system.
is really their seal. Or whatever.
You got the lightning bolt.
Trilateral Commission.
Like, no, seriously.
Yeah,
This-
yeah.
It
Yes.
is.
They're blatant. It's cartel
Like,
signaling.
seriously, because this is just downright, like, putting it out there.
It's
They're-
so in
they're
your
proud of
face.
it.
That's what we're saying is that it is out there. But a lot of the stuff that I'm unaware of, you don't.
It's so
see
in your
it.
face.
You can't miss a show.
It's hard to
not-
see.
Yeah.
So on the left
Brilliantly
side of the
said,
image that's
Dave,
about to,
yeah.
what's that, Meeks?
That's brilliantly put. I mean, it's so in your face. It's hard to see it. I mean, they ram it in our faces.
I don't like it.
Okay, does
It's
anyone
almost
know?
on purpose.
Real quick,
I want to protect everyone.
Daniel Belton on the Facebook Live.
Hi,
video.
Daniel.
What's up, Dan?
Video just says, "Does God hold it against you if you seek revenge in terms of eye for an eye?"
Does he hold it? He says to leave vengeance to him. Like, I'm no
Yeah.
Bible theologian. I'm just
Karma.
I am a studier, but it does seem he's pretty clear, my friend. And I struggle with the same things because
We can't give them advice.
Mm.
Like, we're like,
well,
hey, well, don't do
I'm
it.
not
we'll
giving.
let God, like,
I'm
I
not
know.
giving advice.
I
I
know,
am merely
I know.
telling him some
Right.
passages that are in this book that
Yeah.
I totally believe in. But he basically
It's
says,
karma.
do your best to forgive this
Yeah.
person.
Yes.
And I know this is so hard to do, but it actually helped me. When I started praying for Betsy, I felt a lot better about some of the antics going on.
About blank,
And
blank, blank.
just stay away from doing vengeance. He's got you covered. And Meigs, I want you right now to read Revelation 2:9 because this addresses what this young man just said and something KJ said last week. Will you read us 2:9?
Do you mean 3:9?
Maybe
I think
it's
you told
3:9.
last time. Yeah, it says, "Behold, I will make them of the synagogue of Satan, which say they are Jews and are not, but do lie. Behold, I will make them to come and worship before thy feet, and to know that I have loved thee."
Okay, so thank you. So in one of the passages, because you asked last week, because I was the same way, I wanted to get him. I wanted to assassinate one of the Rockefellers. I wanted to start a revolution and take over just ridiculous ideas. And Revelation 2:9 put me at ease, because you know what? I now trust, even things I do not understand, I now trust it. So the thing you said last week about, I want to get him, we don't have to. In
Right.
fact, at the end of the day, if you are on Jesus' side of this equation, these mofos that are causing all these problems and putting skeleton images in debates, they're going to end up kneeling down at our feet, and we will have the last laugh. So what's the big deal if a few people think we're kooky right now?
Right.
At the end of the day, dude, I mean, it's not like we're going to have the last laugh, because we are going to be heartbroken
go.
over the
Yeah.
tragedy that is
Yeah.
going to befall most people, because they will not have gotten this message left here. All right, we got 3 logos on screen.
5 minutes.
On the left-hand side, does anyone know whose logo this is?
On the left-hand side?
Yep.
A quarter?
No.
Meigs, while they figure
The
this
middle
out,
is recycling.
do me a favor and go look up.
I'm just joking.
Go find the passage
look at that.
in Revelation about the white horse of Revelation.
Ride the white horse.
Because how funny, we've got the Trilateral Commission with a biblical. Now, we already know they're involved in evil, organized, secret evil, where the rulers of the world are getting together to basically plot Satan's one world, new world order. And one of those other organizations that are linked with these people is the CFR, the Council on Foreign Relations. Another one of these nebulous groups, KJ, that they're loosely connected. They seem to be disorganized, but when you stand back and look at it, these guys are operating in unbelievable unison. Very hard to even spot.
Cecil Rhodes, right?
All right.
Okay, so Revelation 19:11, the rider on a white horse. Then I saw heaven opened, and behold, a white horse. The one sitting on it is called Faithful and True, and in righteousness he judges and makes war. His eyes are like a flame of fire, and on his head are many diadems. And he has a name written that no one knows but himself. He is clothed in a robe dipped in blood, and the name by which he is called is the Word, capital W, Word of God.
All right, that is, yes.
Is it different in the Bible when it's capital WRORD or?
That's a name for Jesus.
That's
the capital
one of
W
Jesus'
word.
names is the Word.
If it's capitalized, but if it's not, then
Right, only if it's capitalized.
okay.
I don't want to make blanket statements because there's a lot of Bibles out there.
Okay.
All right, that wasn't the white. So that is actually the white horse in Revelation that is the true Jesus Christ. There is the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse. One of them's coming on a white horse. Now, this will be the Antichrist. He's going to appear as if he's Jesus, and a lot of people will believe he's Jesus. The Jews are waiting for the Messiah for the first time. The Muslims are waiting for the Mahdi. Everyone's waiting for the aliens to whatever it is. And that happens to be the logo of the CFR, the White Horse of Revelation. I just think that's strange for a business organization to. Okay.
We'll put in the right verse when we edit this.
Yeah, we'll fix that up.
There's 2 white horses in the book of Revelation.
All right, any questions about any of this stuff so far?
No.
All right, Meigs, it's going to get a little tougher because I want you to read Revelation 17, I want to say.
Okay.
And I am going to link Revelation 17 up to a Supertramp album.
Ooh.
The kind where you're going to look at it and go, oh my. Well,
Great, I'm going to have a nightmare about this tonight.
It's not a nightmare, but I'm
Great.
showing you.
Yeah, it is. These things are scary.
We are learning some of the embedded messages that have a much deeper biblical meaning.
Yeah, but a lot of the musicians that were delving into the esoteric, wouldn't you agree that a lot of their albums were to provocate, I guess, to get a response? They were doing, Motley Crue has a pentagram on their album, Shout at the Devil.
But Zoso, Led Zeppelin, all the
Look,
all
by
the
the time,
signs,
if
all
you
the
are
little symbols,
if you are a household name,
yeah,
you are most likely, whether you're willing participant
Zoso.
or not, you are an agent of.
That's the loop one.
God's at work too, but it's hard to make it in rock without, just overtly showing your colors.
But why? I don't get it.
Well, Satan was a musician, and he was in charge of all the worship.
Choir
of God's
director.
Wow.
entire empire.
Okay.
And he knows, in fact, God even says he can use music to make you do things. And think about it, dude.
Definitely true.
You put the right 20 songs in a row for me,
Trance.
throw a couple cocktails in me, and dude, maybe
Party
I'll be
time.
getting another call from the
There's a
police on
movie called
Monday.
American Satan, and it's about a band who sells their soul to the devil.
Well,
like,
that's what
to
I'm
make
saying.
it
I think a
big.
lot of people
Great, and
are
it's-
playing
it
around,
works
not
a lot.
realizing.
That is more literal, and I know the film you're talking about. That is more literal than I think you could imagine.
I know, but I imagine there's so many bands who think that they can do it, and they try to do evil things so they can.
What I'm saying is the
Yeah.
album covers. Someone, to do that. I think some people know that they're knowingly doing it.
Oh, look,
Of course they do.
We're not
something
going to. We
coming
can't
above.
get in
it just to
We have
do
so
it.
many predictive 9/11 images. We've only looked at 0.5%, but the number of album covers that came out in
with
early
you.
2001, before the towers fell, depicting explosions at the towers. My
Got
count
it.
is at a dozen.
Wow.
And there's probably 100 if you really look hard.
I will say that I feel like Jay-Z, Beyonce, and maybe Taylor Swift.
They are.
They have had to.
long
They have had
gone,
to done some really messed up stuff.
They are. At
I
that
probably
level,
said that. I probably said that before, but I'll
Look,
say it again.
at that level,
I can only imagine.
they're eating.
Dude,
poop at
I
that
know,
level. I mean, they've given up any sort of morality, and they're totally bought and paid for. Meeks, what were you gonna say?
Read what Fiona Barnett has written about satanic ritual abuse. That's all you need to know about how bad it gets.
Watch
with-
Angelina Jolie's video on YouTube.
I interviewed
From when she
Fiona
was very
Barnett
young. It
on-
was like they were recording her at a very young age, and she was talking about what Hollywood wanted her to do,
Hey, Meeks.
including satanic rituals.
For
I
sure.
interviewed Fiona Barnett on Freedom Works, and she.
Oh, that's incredible.
This is prior
She's
to
amazing.
Team Jesus.
Team Jesus.
Oh yeah,
This
I
is-
love it.
She spelled out the whole thing about Cardinal Pell in Australia. This is 4 or 5 years ago, and now you see him finally being tried for the abuse of all those children.
Wow.
Yep. But she talks about the entertainment industry. I'm not sure she goes into the music industry, but it's all the same. They do satanic ritual abuse, like hardcore. I mean, it is so disgusting. It will make you not want to see movies again, basically. It's
You
like,
guys,
ugh.
every week we talk about all this crazy stuff, and I want you guys to email me links to start
Oh, for
adding
sure.
these to the
Just
emails.
watch the edited shows. They're.
Yeah.
I know, but I want you guys to send them to me because it's special.
Hey, just to be sure, the guy that brought Fiona to the show was David Schurter.
Oh yes, he's great too. He's a wealth of information. A survivor of the Franklin Credit Union abuses on children. Yeah, it's unreal when you research this stuff. But yeah, the music industry is rife with this kind of activity. The entertainment, film industry is rife with Satanism. The Luciferianism.
We're gonna show it to you. Do me a favor, Meeks. Will you read Revelation 17?
Yes.
Get
yes.
past the harlot, the beast, and the woman that rides the beast. I'll be back in 1 minute.
Okay, so this is Revelation 17, Babylon, the prostitute on the beast. One of the 7 angels who had the 7 bowls came and said to me, "Come, I will show you the punishment of the great prostitute who sits by many waters. With her the kings of the earth committed adultery, and the inhabitants of the earth were intoxicated with the wine of her adulteries. Then the angel carried me away in the spirit into a wilderness. There I saw a woman sitting on a scarlet beast that was covered with blasphemous names and had 7 heads and 10 horns. The woman was dressed in purple and scarlet and was glittering with gold.
Stormy
precious stones,
freaking Daniels, man.
She held a golden cup in her hand, filled with abominable things and the filth of her adulteries. The name written on her forehead was a mystery: Babylon the Great, the mother of prostitutes and of the abominations of the earth. And this, a lot of people think that this is symbolic for the Vatican, the Catholic Church, who has basically Rome, who has its tentacles all over the world and is sleeping or cavorting, what's the word, with many countries, with the rulers of many countries, and basically has a stranglehold on the world right now. So, and the scarlet and the purple and scarlet is what leads people to think that, because of the among other things, but the Catholic dudes, the vicars and whatever, the high up popes, bishops, and stuff are all in purple and scarlet and gold and stuff, and they're all decked out and dripping in jewelry and gold, and their fineries and all their
All right,
Catholic
so we're
churches.
gonna talk about that. So you got through. We talked about. Now, when I used to read passages like that, mystery. What the heck are they talking about?
Right.
But everything is in Revelation is decoded throughout the rest of the Bible. So we know a couple things. A beast is a system. It's almost like a fascist system in biblical terms, where it's a combination of business and religion all into one, which we are seeing, because we're not gonna have time to really get into them today, but businesses you will see that have these marks, there's a very spiritual world even going on in corporate America. Okay, so a beast is this system, and in this case, the beast is the hidden Rome that Daniel talked about 600 years before Christ, that in the last days, Rome would go hidden around the time of Jesus' crucifixion. It was never conquered, and Meigs just read out of the book of Revelation, which was given in 90 AD to St. John the Revelator. And this was literally a tour/vision given to him by Jesus Christ himself, where he was taken into the future to see some things. Now, he is being shown these things. I don't know if he's really seeing a beast and a woman riding on a beast, but this is how God does it. Because in other parts of the world and other epochs, he's already deciphered what these things are. So when you read the whole thing, then you've got the key that deciphers the book of Revelation. So we've got a beast, which is a government system. And in my opinion, we are talking about the hidden Rome coming live. We know that this governmental beast is going to go hidden, but its capital will remain where it was in 90 AD. What was the capital of the world in 90 AD, Meigs?
Rome, right?
Thank you. Exactly. Okay. Now, a woman. Who's the woman and who's the harlot? Two more characters, okay? Mm-hmm. A woman is a religious group of people. It can also be a city. The people that Jesus is coming for, they're known as his bride, the woman. It started with Eve. The woman will give birth. They're not just talking about Eve. They're talking about, there's a lot more to it than just, you understand how our English language works. Something can stand for something else.
Right.
Yeah.
You can have a double.
But in this case, just to simplify and get through this one example fast, a woman is a religious organization of some sort. And the harlot, now, when God talks about adultery in the Bible, he's not always talking about cheating on your spouse. You trying to throw me off or something?
No, I'm trying to just.
Okay. You want to sit on my lap? I can finish it. Okay. 3 minutes. This is going to be tough. And you're not helping me right now. All right. So, and I already see all the eye rolls I get when you guys are trying to get me. Oh, I got you guys covered. I'll get them off. So get ready to do your little.
Look at me when it's really time to be done. So.
Okay. So when God is talking about adultery, he is talking about people that are participating in another religion. And essentially every other religion is demonic at the end of the day. This is what he was saying. You are these false gods. These are idols.
Right.
Remember, and I don't even like using the word religion because that implies human structures and history and rituals. And wrong. All you need is this book. One thing Eric had said is, you know, little message game. You start with the message at the front of the class, and by the time it gets to the end of the class, I mean, it's a whole different message.
Yeah.
True. However, if when that message originates, you put the original message in a time capsule, and then when the message reaches the end of the class and it's read and we compare it to what was put in the time capsule, if they match up, then we can trust the message. And in 1945, the Dead Sea Scrolls were unearthed. Not the first time we have found any scriptures, but the first time we found all of them together, complete. And this was dated to 200 BC, so we now know for a fact what the scriptures were in the days of, actually 200 years before Jesus Christ. It's very enlightening. And what's written in those scriptures, outside of about 20 words, word for word, has not changed throughout history.
So real quick, we've got 2 minutes left. Let's
Okay.
recap.
Do you guys
Let's
see
say what's
anything
the
here?
recap.
Supertramp album. Breakfast in America.
Twin Towers.
She's looking out a window of a plane.
Boobs.
Okay,
orange.
number one, we've got a woman with a golden cup.
Okay.
All right, I think this might be evil's way of telling us that this woman filled with iniquity might be connected to New York City, if not Rome. Because the religious system that Meigs was just talking about, they use a golden cup in their ceremonies. They use scarlet and gold. They're
Do you
very.
think the band itself was responsible for all this, or
UN?
do you think it was
No.
like secret forces behind, and they showed the band, and the band was like, "Cool."
I don't think the bands know. I
Okay.
think they're, A&R Records says, hey, we're going to do your cover.
They're just a
You
vessel.
have nothing to do
Okay.
with it. Get the hell out of the way.
Yeah,
Okay.
I get it.
Looks like he's looking outside of a plane.
So let's start looking at some links, because this is connected to 9/11. Number one, we're looking at a woman adorned in gold, holding a golden cup
With
over
big
the Twin
boobs.
Towers. And it just says Supertramp. However, when you flip it backwards, look how the 9 and 11 fall over the Twin Towers.
Oh, that's creepy.
But wait.
That's
Looking at her
creepy.
picture, someone's looking outside of an airplane.
Outside of an airplane, Breakfast in America. Now, let's get to the other.
Okay,
What's
well,
another,
you got about 30 seconds.
another name for Super Tramp?
We gotta go.
Let's think about this. Another name for Super Tramp is what?
Prostitute.
Super is great. A tramp is a harlot.
Super whore.
So on this album, we've got the great harlot with her golden cup of iniquity in front of the very thing that they are predicting will be destroyed. This is in 1979, 22 years before 9/11.
There's too many coincidences,
It's
man.
so
and
awesome.
It's just too much.
So when you guys see this stuff, is it? Oh,
scaring
and
me.
I think you also had a passage,
Not gonna lie,
Meigs.
it's scaring me.
You also had a passage that this church would be wearing
Purple
shiny,
and scarlet.
sparkly jewelry and gold ornaments and things of that nature.
Yes.
All right, now here's a picture of the
Ew.
Pope.
Ew. Gross.
This is Benedict, who, by the way, is still alive. There's an incredible deception
That's so ew.
because I personally believe
He
the
looks
false
like
prophet.
Clarice.
So here's the head of the largest religion on the planet.
I can smell you.
Now, he's got the very things that were warned against 2,000 years ago, that they'd have these shiny, dressed in jewels and adorned.
How do we know this isn't Photoshopped?
And
How do we know this is not Photoshopped?
because you can go get it off of the Vatican's own website.
Okay. All right. Well,
And you know what? It's possible.
it could be contrasted, which would.
The reason
bring
we
out
talk
the-
about painting dots,
Yeah.
and this is why I said even if some turn out to be false or black,
Right.
think of a paint by numbers.
Yeah.
If you paint enough, and let's just say we've made 5 mistakes in our last few weeks. Something was photoshopped and we shouldn't have included. Fine, take it out. You can still see the whole. You can still see it if you have enough dots.
All right.
Most people try to make these.
We're gonna end it with
decisions.
our dots.
No, we're
I
gonna
think
end it-
everybody needs to connect the dots at home and watch and
To our-
comment. And
the most important part of this show is we're not bringing glory to evil.
We're not.
At the end of the day, there's a way to get out of all this and
Yes,
not
there
be
is.
on earth when all of this crap goes down.
And when we create our church, you guys are all gonna come.
No,
and
we are
be
not
welcome.
creating a church.
No, I'm just
Get
kidding.
to know
I'm kidding.
who Jesus Christ is,
Yes.
and we are going to go us.
We're gonna peace
We're
out.
going to go inject some of that.
Right.
Yes,
Bye,
and we're
Meeks.
so excited to see you
Meeks.
guys
Love you,
and
Meeks.
watch
Bye,
you
bye.
guys and communicate next week. Thank you for tuning in, and we will see you.
What I'm about to say is fact. The secret organizations of the world power elite are no longer secret. They have planned and are now leading us into a one-world communism.
ODDTV. Take a journey with me deep inside the rabbit hole. Wake up, my friends, there's some things that you have to know. Everything you ever thought you knew, it has to go. For instance, NASA is the world's largest magic show. 9/11 was a planned demolition and Sandy Hook was a scam. Come on, man, are you tripping? Constant programming being crammed in your vision. Just take a step back and examine this prison. Turn on the news and they're trying to blind you. All they ever do is tell you lies and divide you. There's nowhere you can even hide, they'll find you. Illuminati all-seeing eye right behind you. It's about time you find out we're being lied to. They're attempting to control the mind that's inside you. Hide you from the power that designed you. Does anybody have a problem with this? Well, I do. I want the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. They say